This is Liverpool Football Club, one of the most historic, decorated organisations in all the sports from around the world. Steeped in history and with over 100 million fans from all around the globe, they're comparable to teams like the New York Yankees, Real Madrid and the Los Angeles Lakers. With this sheer size and reputation comes a lot of pressure to get results, and they do. For the past few years, this generation of Liverpool stars has established themselves as one of the best teams that the English Premier League has ever seen, in conversations with teams like Manchester United of the 1990s and Arsenal in the early 2000s, or the so-called Invincibles, and of course the Manchester City team that we see today. This huge success is due to a multitude of different factors, but many often attribute their recent glory to Jurgen Klopp. But after doing some digging, I found out that it might not be exactly what you'd expect.
Not just the world champions, I think they are the best team in the world in this moment.
What I'm saying is, potentially, Liverpool could win a treble this season. They'd have won something like 8 out of the last 9 domestic trophies. That's unbelievable as well. So,
After the 2009-2010 season, Liverpool was a failing club, with interest rates on loans of over £340,000 per week and a 7th place stance in the Premier League. The Liverpool owners at the time, Tom Hicks and George Gillette, were voted by the Liverpool board to be ousted. But the question was, who would have the guts to take over such a helpless task? The answer to that question was Fenway Sports Group, who were at the time known as New England Sports Ventures. Even though this was a horror show at the time, if anyone was going to turn the show around, it would be FSG. In 2002, they acquired the Boston Red Sox from the Yawkey Trust. The Red Sox were suffering from one of the longest championship droughts in baseball history. Many Red Sox fans believe that this is a curse that they got from selling Babe Ruth or the Bambino to their rivals, the Yankees, in 1919. It took them a whole 86 years to win the World Series again, or you could say it took them 84 years to meet New England Sports Ventures.
Back to full. Red Sox fans have longed to hear it. The Boston Red Sox are world champions.
Since then, they've been completely revitalised and have added 4 more World Series titles to their name.
It hasn't happened at Fenway Park for 95 years. The Red Sox are world champions.
So if the 84-year seemingly eternal curse that the Red Sox had been overcome by Fenway, Liverpool was just a minor task. And on October 15, 2010, Fenway and Liverpool were in business. They didn't waste any time in making changes, and the most significant one being a man called Michael Edwards, who would come into the role as sporting director, but would eventually be the top man behind many of the power moves that Liverpool would make in the years to come, being one of their biggest needle turners to becoming a Champions League winning side. FSG, and more particularly John W. Henry's currency of making effective and fruitful decisions, is numbers. Henry knew that making good decisions in sport and transfers had nothing to do with the illusion of quality of the prospect. The same technique he used to turn the Red Sox around was going to be used on Liverpool. Henry knew that it was a numbers game, and with that approach he began making the dream team of stats. This team consisted of Ian Graham, a physicist from Cambridge University, Tim Waskett, who boasts a first-class honours degree in astrophysics, a junior chess champion and energy industry professional Defeat Steele, and last but not least, Will Spearman, who worked for the European Organisation for Nuclear Research with a PhD in high energy physics at Harvard. With this firepower, this team built statistical systems that were used to rank players from all around the world. This performance index uses mathematical formulas which evaluate player performance in terms of how individual actions either assist or prevent goals. The system also takes into account the strength of the opposition and the time in a game the player's actions occurred. This system is used to identify a not so obvious new candidate for the manager role for Liverpool, a German whose team had come 7th in the Bundesliga the previous year. This manager's name is Jurgen Klopp. The system will be used again to give people like Michael Edwards data on who is best fit for Jurgen Klopp's tactics and style of play. It was used to select players like Mohamed Salah and Alisson Becker from Roma, and Sadio Mane and Virgil van Dijk from Southampton, who would all prove themselves instrumental in their journey towards being a global superpower once more. Probably the most obvious reason for the Reds' success is the signing of Jurgen Klopp, who was also statistically selected by Liverpool's background staff as the right fit. Famously, his tactics are high-intensity defence, which has been coined gegenpressing. This tactic originates all the way back in the 1980s with AC Milan coach Arrigo Sacchi, who saw possession as the key to winning games. In essence, this is an all-out press whenever the ball is high up in the pitch, which when won creates disorganisation in the opposition's defence and a counter-attack for the pressing team. This is, according to Klopp, the best playmaker and has proved vital in their success. In an article from the sports author Alan Moore on backpagefootball.com, there was a bold claim that according to a source close to the club, of 35 players, 22 are asthmatic. This would mean that 63% of the Liverpool team have asthma compared to the UK average of 12%. Why is this relevant, you ask? Well, this would mean that Liverpool players would, within the right, be eligible for drugs such as salbutamol, which can be considered performance enhancing. This drug works by relaxing the muscles along the airways towards the lungs. This would in turn help the person taking it breathe easier and more efficiently. In 2010, this drug was added to the World Anti-Doping Agency's prohibited list because of the increased performance when someone inhales salbutamol. Many people in football circles believe that the use of salbutamol would explain how Liverpool were able to keep up such a cardio-intense play style throughout their 63-game season, and as the reason why they have such low injuries year-round. In reality though, the statistic that 22 of 35 players are asthmatic is at this stage only alleged. The chances are that this source close to the club doesn't even exist, and this is all just rubbish. It raises the question though, who actually cares? All supporters in this game want to see is good quality football, and as long as nobody gets hurt or has any ill health from these performance enhancers, so be it. But that's a topic for another video. Please comment down below if you would like to see another video on that, but until then, see you next time.